guys, here I was going through my toolbox because I'm taking it to a trip to California where I'm going to be part of a crew that will help out 4 female cyclists that will do the race across America. Actually, it's the first Brazilian female team to do this race. Pretty cool, huh? It's an ultra endurance race, pretty crazy, over 3,000 miles, where they start at the state of California, cross 12 states, all the way to Annapolis in Maryland. So it's pretty crazy. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. Also, I'll be doing my first bike ride in California. I never ridden in the state of California, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I need to shred about 5 pounds from my toolbox to be able to dispatch and not go overweight. So let's go through some tools. So I'm gonna start with the basics. Multi-tools, every cyclist must have a multi-tool, and you can have different sizes and styles. So this one is a tiny mini from Parktool, where you have the basic 4, 5, 6 millimeter hex wrench. And then you can have a more robust one from Topeak. This one is the one I carry on my bike, where you have more wrenches and you have also a chain remover and also even a spanner, so you can save space on your saddlebag where you don't need to take a spanner because it already has 2 spanners on the side. So this is a pretty cool tool from Topeak. Now, if you really want to go fancy on the hex wrench kit, I have one of my favorite tools. This one from Topeak. It's this little pouch. You open it and you have all the bits here on the side, and you have a wrench, and it's a ratchet wrench. So it's pretty cool. On this side you can put a bit here, it's magnet, and then over here you can also put another bit. And I bought this also from Topeak. It's a torque bit or torque wrench. This is 5 Newton meters. That is very common that you will use on carbon fiber and with small 4 or 5 millimeter bits. So it's pretty cool. It's one of the tools I use. I always have it with me, always in my bag. I always use this one. I'll try to put the links in the description to make it easier if you want to find it. This one is really cool from Topeak. One thing that's common, especially if you're riding gravel, for the wheel to get a little bit out of true. If it gets a lot out of true, I would recommend taking it to a bike shop. But sometimes it gets a little bit out of true. So I have this ring, I think it's from Sunlight. And this ring is pretty cool because you can tighten your spokes or loosen your spokes and just make that fine tuning. Maybe this is something you would consider having with you if you have an aluminum rim that's more common to get out of true. So this is a tool, this is a spoke tension meter that you will probably never use unless you are a tool geek or a bike mechanic, and this is used to measure the tension of the spokes. But usually you use this when you're building a wheel or when it's severely damaged, but I prefer much more to use a wheel truing stand, and this is more to help you in that process. Another tool that probably you will never use is a dummy pedal. I don't know if many of you guys know, but this is a dummy pedal that you put on the bike and you spin it when you don't have a pedal. So it's easy to screw it on your crank. And then you would ask, why would someone have a dummy pedal? Well, mechanics, sometimes they have bikes that don't have pedals. You could put a pedal on, but this makes it much easier to put it on the crank on. Maybe a tool that you may think a cyclist would never need is a measuring tape. And everybody has one at home. It doesn't have to be from Parktool. But you know, you have your seat height, and you've done a bike fit maybe, and you know the seat height, according to that height, is perfect, your reach. And so by any chance you have to work on your saddle, or you're going to a trip and you're renting a bike, if you have your measurements, you can take a measuring tape, measure the bike, and set it up according to your bike. And so I even take this on a trip. In case I rent a bike or someone borrows a bike, I can easily measure the bike and put the measurements that I have on my own bike. Now, every cyclist has to have a picker. I have this one from Parktool. So these pickers, it's great for you to catch things, clean your pulley wheel, and remove that grim, you know, that gets stuck, or that little leaf that's stuck in between the pulley wheels. So you have to have a picker. This one from Parktool has also a little magnet, great to catch some screws that fall. Just a little great tool. You don't have to have three. I have three that has different shapes, but if you have one, it serves its purpose. If you get to a point that you have to use a hammer, you're in a complicated situation. No, just kidding. Sometimes hammers are really handy, especially if you have this little plastic part here to just give it a little tap to remove a crank arm or to remove a pedal, and so sometimes a hammer is useful. If you have disc brakes, then maybe a disc brake spanner is something you might consider having to true your disc brakes when it gets out of true. So it has this little fend here, and you can bend it a little bit and also reset your brake pads. A very common tool that everybody has in their house is wrenches, and I have here from 17, 18 millimeters all the way to 6 millimeters. For a road bike or a gravel bike, you probably won't use a wrench like this. I usually use them to remove a wheel from a cruiser or a hybrid bike. They don't have like quick release sometimes, so I have to use these wrenches. But for a road bike, you probably won't be needing them. What you might want to use is this wrench to remove pedals, and a bigger one because sometimes they can get really tight, and these can easily remove any pedal. Many pedals, like look pedals, they rely on these Hex. And this one is a pretty sturdy one, great to remove pedals. Of course, if you don't travel, if you don't have to replace any pedals, it's not something you're going to do commonly or frequently, but if you travel, sometimes to put it inside the bike bag, you might need to remove the pedals. Now, one tool I think every cyclist should have is a chain ruler. Some people say, no, you don't need a chain ruler. I just replace every 1,000 miles, every 2,000 miles, I replace my chain. If you don't know, after your tire, the chain is the second component that wears out pretty quickly. I can't say you like, hey, in 1,000 miles, your chain will be worn out, or 2,000 or 3,000 miles, because that depends on how much torque you're putting on the chain, how much you're riding, the conditions, and even the chain that you're using. Some chains, they wear out quicker than others. If you're guessing all the time, you can be riding with a chain that's worn out, and that can damage your cassette, or you can be replacing your chain too soon and wasting money. You can take it always to a bike shop, but just to make it easier, and it's not expensive, you can have a chain ruler where you can measure your chain and see if it's worn out or not, and it's pretty simple, easy tool to use. I'll probably not be taking like these huge hex wrenches. These are easy for you to buy in any hardware store, but usually I use these to remove free hub bodies from the cassette, from the wheel. So probably during the race, I will not be able to have the spare part if that happens. And if that happens, it's easier to just use the spare wheel than trying to fix the free hub body. A hanger alignment. This is pretty, I use this a lot. I find a lot of bikes, their hangers are crooked, and that way you won't shift properly, even if you adjust the derailleur. And that's sometimes common to happen. You just lay down your bike on the ground, or something hits, the hanger will bend a little bit, and you'll feel that when it's not shifting properly. And this will help you align the hanger according to the wheel so it will work properly. But this is something, it's an expensive tool that probably, if you don't travel a lot, it's something that's not going to happen. It can happen, but it's not common. So this is a tool that probably I wouldn't have as a cyclist. But as a bike mechanic, for sure I'm taking this to the trip. A saw, probably you're not going to use it unless you're going to buy a new bike and need to shorten the C-tube or something. But just take it to a bike shop, much easier. A grease gun. I probably can't take this and dispatch it in my luggage, right? I can't take this to the plane, so I'll leave it here. I'll buy some grease there. Now, bike stand is something that I really would encourage if you're really getting into cycling. And it makes bike maintenance so much easier for you to adjust your derailleur, to wash your bike, clean your bike, replace the tire. It makes it much easier. It's a little bit of an investment, but it's definitely worth it if you like to clean your bike and work a little bit on your bike. You can find cheaper ones. I have this one from Feedback. It's my first bike stand. And then I have also recently bought one from Parktool. It's a more a professional one. It's super light and it's easier to carry, so when I need to take it on my van, I use the one from Parktool. But a bike stand is something maybe in the long term that you will want to invest in as one of your cycling tools. So this is pretty much it of the tools that a cyclist, oh, I almost forgot, a Phillips key is always important, right? To adjust the limit screws on your rear derailleur, your front derailleur, you always need a Phillips screw. But I didn't mention it before because I think everybody has a Phillips screw in their house. But okay, so let's weigh the toolbox. I'll remove a few things that I believe I won't be needing during the race. Hopefully we won't be needing much of these tools because the bikes will ride smoothly. So I'm gonna weigh my toolbox and see if we are in the weight limit. All right, let's see. Right on, 49 pounds, we're good. Toolbox all set. A few more details for the trip, but I'm really excited. I think I'm gonna be able to show you some pretty cool stuff. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.